Neverending Chain by Dragon Translator, Chapter 91, and there is more. They all arrived to find another, bigger flock of dragons hovering over the village. The flock also consisted of a mix of nadders, nightmares, zibblebacks, and gronkles. It had more nadders than any of the others, though. A lone silver and red nadder hovered in front of Stormfly. Astrid sat upon Stormfly's back, and Windwalker and Winddancer bracketed Stormfly. Hovering in line behind them were the rest of the riders, the mates of their dragons, the elders, and Torgeir and Firestorm. Hiccup was grateful to see that Torgeir and Firestorm stayed near to Fishlegs, Meatlug, and Boulder. Hiccup saw Astrid glance his way before pointing at him. The lone nadder shifted so its left eye could see him. He knew they were tired, but he needed to see to this before getting them settled. He pointed down. So long as they were not trying to lay down to sleep, the cliff below them would let them at least rest their wings. "As soon as I see about this," he said, "I'll help you find a place to rest until tomorrow." "Thank you, Alpha of the Nest," the Gronkle said before he and the others dove to land on the cliff. Toothless waited until all the dragons touched down before flying over to join the others. "The human says that you are the Alpha of this nest," the nadder said, its voice female, and its left eye upon Hiccup as Toothless shifted to hover near to Winddancer. Hiccup's eyes narrowed. "She is my future queen," he said, allowing his power to coat his words. The nadder twitched. The nest dragons chortled. The riders, except for Astrid, snickered smugly. Astrid, Hiccup noted, stared at him with a brilliant smile and tip of her head. Hiccup would have returned the smile had he still not been glaring at the nadder. No one insulted or slighted Astrid in Hiccup's presence. "I apologise," the nadder said. "Myself and those above us are from the northeast, and our interactions with humans do not end well for us." Hiccup hummed. "Noted," he said, his power still coating his words, though with less strength. He was still not pleased the nadder first considered Astrid a mere human, and not the gods-sent woman sent to stand by his side and inspire him to do better. Be better. The woman. He could have done none of this without. "It has been a long war, with enough bitterness and distrust on both sides," he continued. "Now is a time to heal, as we can in the places that we can." "You speak wisdom," the nadder said. She looked to Astrid and tipped her head. "I apologise, future queen of the nest." Astrid stared at the nadder in silence, then tipped her head. "Forgiven," she said. "I am curious, though," the nadder said, "how a human became an alpha of a nest of humans and dragons. We are under the impression that a lava dweller ruled this territory." "The dragons declared me the alpha," Hiccup said. "You would have to ask them why." "I'm still not sure." "Because you defeated that fallen queen," Winddancer said. "Because you forgave our breach of civility laws while under the orders of that monster, and forgave our continued breach after the war ended. Because you allowed us a place in your nest, and did not exile us, as was your right. Because you allowed us to live again, teach again, be dragons again." Hiccup stared at the elder and smiled. "You didn't deserve exile. And it wasn't your fault that monster made you raid us or be eaten by her. And you deserve to live and be who you are just as much as anyone else." "The lava dweller ate her own nest members?" the silver and red nadder asked, shocked. "Yes," Toothless stated, "for not bringing her back tribute, for disobeying her, for moments when she was just in a foul mood." "We heard rumours, but we did not think an alpha dragon would revert back to those beliefs and actions. We thought the few that survived those wars would see the devastation such things wrought." "We do not know what brought her to that point," Winddancer said. "Besides myself, Lawkeeper is the oldest living dragon from that nest, who now follow our alpha, and even he does not know. We were all hatched and raised in that nest, and she was the queen of it for all of our lives." That caused the nadder to squawk and shake herself. Hiccup frowned. "What is wrong?" he asked. She is surprised and dismayed, Alpha, Wind Dancer said. While we are the oldest of our kinds living in this nest, and thus elders, we are still considered too young to be such. The Illusion Scale's elder was equally surprised and dismayed when she visited us and found out how old we truly are. Hiccup blinked and stared at Wind Dancer. She chortled. That you do not even ask, even though you are curious, she said. Shows how much of a true alpha you are. Lawkeeper hatched 100 of your years after that fallen queen began forcing raiding flocks to attack humans. I hatched 1 of your years after he did. Hiccup's jaw dropped. He saw Astrid's eyes widened. The Nada chittered. So young, she whispered, yet with so much wisdom gained through pain and suffering. The Nada looked at Hiccup. You did more than just free all of us to return to the hatching nest and properly rear our young. You have given me, and them, hope for a brighter future. Thank you. Hiccup tipped his head. I had help, even though all my help says they acted upon my orders. The Nada chuckled. And you show humility. I am honoured to meet you, young Alpha. Hiccup coughed, but then frowned, and looked up at the flock of dragons still hovering near to the clouds. He looked back down at the Nada. How long have you all been flying? He asked. For several races and settings of the sun and moon, the Nada said. Hiccup shifted to look over his shoulder at the other dragons, still waiting at the cliff like he told them to. He turned back to the riders behind Astrid and Stormfly. Snort thou! You, Hookfang and Wingblaze, go gather those dragons on the cliff and bring them here. He looked to the silver and red Nada as the 3 tasked moved to effect their orders. They have flown from the north and have asked for permission to rest within the boundaries of the nest. He said, I offer this same rest to you and those with you, so long as you and they do not insult or harm any in my nest. I agree to your terms, young Alpha, and I thank you. Now, Hiccup said, as Snotlout, the Nightmares, and the other flock joined them. We need to find you a place for all to rest. Alpha! Hiccup looked beyond the Nada as Ringfire lifted over Gida's house and came to hover near to Windwalker. I know of a cavern just under Elder Gida's den that would give sufficient room for all of them to sleep. Is it easy to get to? Unfortunately, without an opening on the side of the cliff right onto Elder Gida's den, no. Hiccup heard Shadowfire snort seconds before he heard Gida snicker. He glanced over, finding both mother and son shaking their heads. Gida noticed his regard and grinned. I don't mind if a hole is made, she said. I trust Ringfire to not crash my home into the cavern or to the sea. Ringfire snorted. Hiccup chuckled, though he got the feeling the mage and her son were reacting to something they knew from their time, and not the prospect of Ringfire burrowing into under their home. Hiccup glanced down at his father, standing beside Brynja, Gobber and Spiteout, next to the feeding basin's pole. Stoic nodded his head. Hiccup looked back to Ringfire. Make the opening, so we can get them settled. End of chapter. Hi guys, hope you enjoyed that one. Yeah, I like that one, not too much to report. I love that he is now openly referring to Astrid as his future queen, not just his intended or his, his significant other. That's my future queen, you're going to respect her. Love that energy. And again, what woman doesn't want their man to say something like that about them? Anyway, you guys know the drill. Like, comment and subscribe and hit that bell to get notified for whenever I upload a new video. Have a good day, night or whatever time zone you're in. Bye my guys, gals and non-binary pals. I'll see you in another video. Take care.